To unearth. It etymologically and plainly means the opposite of earth. We unearth for what we wish to grow. We unearth to return what no longer lives. We unearth to safeguard what we love. And then we unearth to level. We unearth to seek the concealed. We unearth from emotion and reason. The law of conservation of mass states that matter can be changed from one form into another, mixtures can be separated or made, and pure substances can be decomposed, but the total amount of mass remains constant, which means that nothing ever is removed, only moved or transformed. Geology expresses this law with the corollaries of erosion and deposition. The principle being that what is eroded from one place is deposited somewhere else. For every pit, there is a pile. The Bingham pit was not the goal. It was an unintentional creation from intentional action. It is a byproduct, the effect of the affect. The Bingham mine yields almost a quarter of the copper used by the United States, and also smaller amounts of other minerals, such as gold and silver. The copper at Bingham is from a low-grade porphyry deposit, meaning that while it is a large deposit, the copper is less than 0.4 to 0.6% of the total volume of the ore rock. The copper is scattered as flecks throughout host rocks. Over a century ago, such low concentrations of copper wouldn't be mined because the costs undermined profit. But increased efficiency and productivity and jackling made porphyry deposits appealing. Yet regardless of profitability, another issue arises. If the copper is 0.4%, the other 99.6% of the ore rock is undesirable to the company, and something must be done with it. So it follows that when the percentage of copper is that low, earth in large sums must be moved. The mining vernacular calls this the waste or overburden. To the industry, it is the material that needs to be removed to access the resource. Today, at the Bingham pit, that amounts to over 120 million tons of overburden a year. It is persuasive to call something waste or overburden, though that term, just like a weed, is contextually based. Waste and weed are created as the antithesis to what we desire. If I want a rose garden, a tulip is a weed. If I want gold, copper is waste. It is true, as one religious leader said, what we see around us depends on what we seek in life. To some, this is waste. This is overburden. Wasn't it once the skin of earth, walked by hooves, paws, water, roots, and talons? It is Pennsylvanian and Permian. It is the heart of the mountain being turned inside out, lower layers piled on top of higher layers. The first become last and the last become first. This mountain's bedrock predates the mountain form itself. That's how geology goes. Sediment is deposited and then pushed and elevated. And this earth once lived north of here. There, in the northwestern corner of Utah, it was the Ochre Basin, a large depositional basin that sank and filled rapidly, accumulating 4 to 8 times more than what was deposited over the rest of Utah. Then the Ochre Basin was pushed 50 miles southeastward to this place. The ochres are a transplant. So in contrast to the Wasatch, they contain thick deposits of fossil-bearing marine strata. Volcanic intrusions into the sedimentary rock, followed by hydrothermal activity, created the porphyry copper deposit. All the right factors fell into place and created this rarity, for which the whole range is now known by. I began to see the cascaded soil, the golds and streaks as loosened history. Not waste, but life dug up, spread out, and released. It is sunk in time, layers that saw hot flowing rock and sea. There is no such thing as waste in proverbial nature. Everything produced is used. There's a cycle. an unbroken circle. Mass is not destroyed, only moved or transformed. For dust thou art, and unto dust shalt thou return. We unearth. This is the largest hole we as a species have ever created, at almost 3 miles across and 1 mile deep and growing. The displaced earth is never truly removed. It does not disappear. So as this pit descends, mountains are being formed. There are those that lie close to the pit, streaked mounds that I find disturbingly beautiful. Officially, they are called the waste rock repositories, but usually they are called mine dumps. This is the rock that was splintered by explosives but contained no ore. They're replacement mountains. The other ore-bearing rock is ground down by the in-pit crusher to 10-inch diameter pieces. The pieces are transported at about 11 miles an hour on running belts through metal tunnels, about 22 miles worth to the north. The copper is concentrated through chemicals, flotation methods, smelting, and electric currents. Minerals are removed, and everything else creates mountains in the north. These are called the tailing impoundments, and every year the North Impoundment receives 60 million tons of earth and rises 8 to 10 feet. That means with long-term plans keeping the mine open until 2028, it will rise another 150 feet or more. This North Mountain has to be sprayed continually to remain and be contained. Mountains descending, traveling, and rising. Mountains that refuse to hold life. In a mining journal in 1908, Will C. Higgins wrote, "Every day the earth trembles at Bingham, Utah. Every day there the mountains crumble and diminish in size, and their crests are gradually sinking below their original horizon. It's a prophecy that has come true for over a century, for almost every single day." On its website, Rio Tinto Kennecott says, "We carry out a sequence of drilling, blasting, loading, hauling, crushing, and conveying 24 hours a day, 7 days a week, 52 weeks a year. They are mountains that never rest." But Higgins, speaking of eroding mountains, missed the other half, the depositing. I thought at first this was all about the pit, but it's also about mountain making. Perhaps overburden is the right word. It is the overburden of our living. These are dreams earth cannot hold because it was not meant to. Matter is never removed, only transformed.